We are introducing WildBorn's new Alaska Aviation transport service to the world. We're going beyond essential
California, and I
gear.
think Pennsylvania can all fit in Alaska, and it still has room for that. So
Yeah,
I've always had this belief in my life that if I could get the ability somehow to let other people who we interact with, whether it's a customer or even a relative or just an acquaintance, experience just some of the things that
I'm
I've
just
seen.
bringing in this huge initiative to bringing standards back to normal and doing and giving you the right prices, the fair pricing for you as an adventurer,
Go
hunter.
out there and you can walk away from a hunt, an adventure, a hike, this really cool adventure that you went on. You can say, you know what, I did this myself, but here's a company that helped walk me through that process of how to get there and to be as successful as
Air
I could
taxi
possibly
services
be.
can't even consider it. And now we can look at it with a direct laser beam and focus on the individual, the adventure, and why we are putting them in a location that is far superior than any other location that all the other
Another
transporters are
piece of
taking
this is
people
the
in.
experience. And I'm not just talking about on the plane ride, I'm talking about customer service experience. From a sales perspective, we want to be next level. We're not going to be a random guy that you're calling in Alaska that you've never met before. We're willing to have video chats about this. We're willing to talk through the entire process of what it's going to look like, where to go, what to expect, so that you are fully prepared to go on this flight with
We're
us,
looking at airplanes.
no matter what.
How do I say this? The one aircraft I looked at today, and I sent you a video of, and Cody, we'll get it to you. I got your email. Um, that aircraft is sitting down there in Louisiana, so about 4.5 hours from here, and probably about 4.5 hours from you also if you go across.
Let's go.
And I was talking to Mr. Massey today, and he's on two Helios, and he's the one that put me in touch with this guy, and we called him from his truck. And he told me, he said, if y'all aren't interested and don't go pick up this aircraft, he said, I'm probably going to
I'm
buy
Troy
it.
Sessions. I'm a former Alaska Class A guide, 30 years of flight time across Alaska and living there, growing up there. Formerly was brought to Alaska in the Air Force. I was an Air Force weapons system specialist, and I specialized in F-16s, F-15s, A-10 Warthogs, F-4s, and putting in the A-21A1 Gatling guns right into those fighter jets and loading them up with air-to-air missiles and air-to-ground ground pounding bombs, basically doing specialized testing of those fighter jets 4 years and spent over 100 days deployed in Desert Storm during the war. And then after that, brought about 60-inch club, learning to fly, finding these excellent locations. And now, WildBorn, baby. I'm here all WildBorned up. We're excited. I'm excited about what's next with WildBorn Aviation. So, and as I get into this further, I want to introduce our chief pilot and command of WildBorn Aviation, and that's Scott Haley.
Thanks, Troy. Thanks for having me here. Um, yeah, so this has been a long time coming for me personally, and I've been lucky enough to meet with Rich and Troy, and now Cody, and discuss some of this over the last couple months. Basically, I started my flying career in 1999. I went to warrant officer flight school with the Army. Prior to that, I was an enlisted infantryman that did some scout sniper work for a little while. But after 1999 and flight school, I went on and joined the 101st Airborne Division as an Apache pilot, and served that for quite a few years through a couple deployments over to Iraq. Came back, ended up being moved over to Fort Knox, Kentucky in the Flying Tigers. So I served a few years with the Flying Tigers, flying Apaches. After that, I took a break from the military service and became a civilian full-time. And in that time that I was out for about 7 to 8 years, I was flying Part 135 EMS helicopter. And my journey through that took me into a lead pilot at a base and a Part 135 flight instructor, where I instructed new hire pilots in day, night, and night vision goggle EMS operations. Started learning a little bit about 135 operations from a management perspective. And then in 2016, I was offered the opportunity to come back into the military, specifically the Mississippi National Guard, where the last 10 years I've been doing that full time while flying Apaches and Blackhawk helicopters. Primarily been doing training and operations for the state's helicopter fleet, which is about 40 aircraft, about 5 different airframe types, over 3 geographic locations in the state. And we had about, I think last count was about 550 soldiers. And so I was the person that was in charge of training, long-term planning and operations, and then any type of compliance inspections that the units did, anything aviation specific, I managed that for the aviation enterprise also. While I was doing that, I deployed 2 more times, once at a battalion level and a brigade, and then another time at a strategic level in Central Asia. Basically, I had me doing a personnel recovery management for the theater, and that really brought me to the end of my military career. So I'm in a transition period, recently retiring from the military. And during that time, I've come across Troy. Troy introduced me to Rich. And over the last month and a half, we started developing and talking about this new thing that we think is going to meet a need for the client and customer in Alaska, and preferably in the lower 48 also. And the bottom line is I'm excited about being part of the team. I'm looking forward to some possibilities working with everyone in the future. And my wife, Melissa, and I hopefully will be coming down pretty soon and meeting everyone again.
Scott, in my mind, you are, again, the aviation discipline to WildBorn's Part 135 aviation company that we're getting ready to share with the world. Rich, you're the president and business architect in my mind, and you oversee liability protection and corporate structure and long-term scalability. You're the best in the world that I've ever met. It's so good at doing this. And basically, you ensure the operation is legally fortified and financially durable. In everything I just mentioned, you're really a mentor to me in the business world. And I would like to hear what you've got to say, introducing yourself to and talking about the WildBorn Aviation.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that when you look at the scope of where are the wild places, that's the question I ask a lot. Where are they? And you have to look really hard. So I have a picture that I was sent about 10 years ago. And this particular guy was a rancher, and he speaks on conventions and stuff. And it was a picture of the United States, and it was at night, and all the lights were turned on. And it was like one of those time lapse things, and it was full. I mean, it was full of light, except one place, right? And that was Alaska. Of course, Anchorage was lit up, and another town like Fairbanks, they were kind of had lights, but there were some really wild open spaces. And so I journeyed to Alaska on a trip. We have our annual business trip, and one of the places that we always wanted to go was Alaska. And so we were in a cruise to Alaska, and man, it was so special. And I was just never been there before, and I was just so enthralled. And I asked someone, how do you say this word? Tinga, what is it? Tongass National Forest. And I asked some guy, and he goes, it's a big one. I'm from Texas, man. Come on. And it was, I think, 2 million acres or something like that. And it was immense, and that wasn't even the biggest one. And then, you start peeling that onion back, and it's like, well, Texas, California, and I think Pennsylvania can all fit in Alaska, and it still has room for that. So I've always had this belief in my life that if I could get the ability somehow to let other people who we interact with, whether it's a customer or even a relative or just an acquaintance, experience just some of the things that I've seen in my life, I think that would be great. So a natural progression of our business is all things wild. And so where are the wild spaces? Well, they're in Alaska is a great place. There's other places too, I'm assuming, but that's the place that I fell in love with recently. And it's great that we can take that extension of people wanting to get out and look and do, and now we can offer that in terms of an air taxi transportation type entity, and offer that to our existing customers. And it, to be clear, the 135 for the common guy, might not mean anything. It's a number, but it really allows you to have the commercial side of just recreational piloting. And so it's certain very strict qualifications and licensing requirements, highly mandated by the FAA, to make sure that it's safe and repeatable and functional and efficient. And that's really what we want to do. But it's not just about hunting moose or big animals. It's not always about that. That's an option, but it's a portfolio of things that we would like to offer in terms of e-learning, and that would be a module for the moose hunting and DIY camping and DIY ice fishing and Airbnb and just flying around and look at the glaciers or the mountaintops or just can we go hiking, and all of those opportunities will be available. And so the first step is to assess options, and we're doing that right now. And I would never have done it without Scott. I would never have done this without Troy for sure. And so Cody and I are kind of along for the ride learning, but this is certainly special to me for those reasons that I pointed out earlier, to offer this service to our customers. And we're super excited, and God willing, this would be up and running here in the next, first part of 2026 timeframe.
Cody, I would like to address you next. You are Director of Sales and Marketing. You manage customer flow, booking pipeline, outreach, and integration with WildBorn's hunting community. And basically, you ensure transport demands is met with clarity, communication, and a high level experience. You're incredible from what I've been hearing about with Rich, with sales and marketing, and I'm such a fresh perspective to bring into WildBorn. Can you tell everybody exactly what this all means to you with the new WildBorn Aviation in Alaska?
Yeah, so super exciting opportunity. I mentioned it earlier, like I'm a kid on Christmas morning right now. And I say that because I grew up, I shot my first deer at Rich's ranch. And you grow up in Texas, you hunt and you're in a deer stand and you kind of know where the deer are going to be. And it's not going to say it's not challenging, but it's certainly easier than hunting public lands. And so my whole life, I've kind of started getting into the public land game and learning the different tricks of the trade of what do you look for? How do you scout? How do you study maps? And really, I had a cool opportunity to go out to California for 6 months. And while I was out there, I bear hunted like every weekend that I possibly could. So I'm studying Google Maps, Onyx, base maps, all the things. I'm reading all of the forums. Half of the forums you can trust, half the time they're sending you to the wrong location. But looking at Facebook groups, doing all the things. And one thing that I realized while I was out there is just how important it is to be in the right location. That could be a mile away from you, or it can be 200 miles away from you. And what this allows you to do through this hunt planner, and now adding the aviation side to it, is we're taking the guesswork out of it. But you still have the opportunity to go out there to hunt, do the real thing by yourself. It's a do-it-yourself hunt. But now we're providing the logistics and the training that you need to be as successful as you can. If you're going all the way up to Alaska, you want to make sure that you have the necessary tools to do so. And that's what we're providing. It's a total package with the exception of the guide itself. And so really, I think that's the best part about this. You can go out there and you can walk away from a hunt, an adventure, a hike, this really cool adventure that you went on. You can say, you know what, I did this myself, but here's a company that helped walk me through that process of how to get there and to be as successful as I could possibly be. And so I think we have the right people in place. I mean, Scott, everything you told us in this introduction, I couldn't have come up with a better resume myself. Like, you're the guy for this. And there's really no holes that I could poke and be like, well, I don't know if he's experienced or not. You're clearly experienced as a pilot. And so we're so excited to have you on this team. And I think you would do a great job, not only working with WildBorn itself, but all of our customers that we'll be dealing with.
Thanks for that, Cody. Just to kind of echo what Cody said, I'm a big DIY hunter myself, and many years, me and some of my friends, we spent a lot of time out in Utah and Colorado and Idaho, and from learning or reinforcing skills like map reading and first aid in austere conditions, and learning the local area, and something that Troy is in on a lot is going back to the same place continually and getting intimately aware of the terrain and the patterns there. So doing all those things, I think, are super important. And, combining that with flying up into that area, I'm really excited about it.
I'm looking forward to it, Scott. You and me getting up into those locations together, and I'm taking you into the old 60-inch club, which is now going to be the WildBorn hunting locations and lakes and rivers, and going over the logistics of what we're looking for and how to land in certain locations. This is the portion of what most transporters overlook. Air taxi services can't even consider it. And now we can look at it with a direct laser beam and focus on the individual, the adventure, and why we are putting them in a location that is far superior than any other location that all the other transporters are taking people into. With that said, where are we right now? And where we're at is we've identified multiple Part 135 certificates that can be transferred. Next is a certificate owner willing to mentor and help with integration, because our big objective here is a 4-month period to be rolling out the gate. With the help of the previous owner, this could really happen in 35 days. We're looking at 40 for 4 months being realistic. Without the help of a prior owner, you can be looking at 3 years. So this is all about getting this done quickly and efficiently with the best aircraft you could possibly get into, and that's what we're doing. Scott's been forefronting the aircraft scouting under certain connections that he has, and acquisitions from firms engaged to locate the aircraft that we're looking for through our lawyer, and Rich with the liability umbrella with the LLC structure. Ops plans that we're looking at in Anchorage and in heavy ops in Fairbanks.
One thing I would like to add is we are an official company in Alaska now too. We're not just a Texas company, we are an Alaskan company. So we're like the real deal, and it's super exciting. So a lot to look forward to, a lot of processes to work through. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we do have something to be excited about. I think this is a really cool opportunity for us, and we're excited to bring other people in on this, and we have the right team in place to do so.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Well, that's a good question, right? Operational inside 4 months is the golden ticket here, okay? Efficiency. We brought in lawyers. We got the expert, best businessman in the world, Rich. Marketing and sales with Cody. You're going to get in there with our 2026, 27, 28 clients that we want to bring into this, along with me and my wife, and of course with this merger of 60-inch club. We're going to need an OpSpecs amendments approval, a certificate transferred and aircraft integration, training and manuals brought up to standards. Scott's going to forefront that. He's the best at that. Insurance is going to have to be finalized. Rich, you're on that all day long. Transport bookings open from 2026 to 2028, and we're just getting started, and that's just the beginning of the bookings. We're going to be adding into that, not just, hey, you want to go hunt, here's a spot. We're going to be bringing into, hey, I would like to go scout a location. How can I do that? Well, nobody really realizes that that's a lot cheaper to do, and it's affordable, and you can split that with your buddy. Where transporter go wrong in my book is that right now they are making it to where it's it's per person. The price is per person. You don't get to split it. That's how Alaska used to be. WildBorn is bringing in this huge initiative to bringing standards back to normal, and giving you the right prices, the fair pricing for you as an adventurer, hunter, fisherman.
Our thing to the customer is that we want to make sure that you understand all the things that we want to do together when you're with us on a air taxi transport adventure. And to do that, it's our job at WildBorn to make sure that we're sourcing the right aircraft.
Another piece of this is the experience. And I'm not just talking about on the plane ride, I'm talking about customer service experience. From a sales perspective, we want to be next level. We're not going to be a random guy that you're calling in Alaska that you've never met before. We're willing to have video chats about this. We're willing to talk through the entire process of what it's going to look like, where to go, what to expect, so that you are fully prepared to go on this flight with us, no matter what the adventure is. If it's through the hunt planner or it's a different type of adventure, we want to make sure that our customer service is top tier, that we're available, and that we'll walk you through the whole process as well, and that there's no questions that are going unanswered.
I would love to have had a hunt planner, an expertise in the field that would give me the videos that I could watch while I'm sitting in camp and seeing how wrong I was doing my calls. This is really where it all began with me in formulating this hunt planner. Was back when I needed it so desperately. You're not just going to be chartering a flight service anymore. That's not happening with us. You're going to go in the field trained. You're going to be knowledgeable. You're going to be confident, and you're going to know what to do if it's slow. And that's my dream for all of you, and my dream for everybody that believes in us enough to come through WildBorn Aviation.
I know we're looking at airplanes. How do I say this? The one aircraft I looked at today, and I sent you a video of, and Cody, we'll get it to you. I got your email. That aircraft is sitting down there in Louisiana, so about 4.5 hours from here, and probably about 4.5 hours from you also if you go across.
Let's go.
And I was talking to Mr. Massey today, and he's on 2 Helios, and he's the one that put me in touch with this guy, and we called him from his truck. And he told me, he said, if y'all aren't interested and don't go pick up this aircraft, he said, I'm probably going to buy it. Right now, from what the gentleman said today, is people are snatching up these Helios, they're rebuilding the engines, they're putting some avionics in them, and then they're flipping them, and the prices are just going through the roof. So
I did a little AI analysis on us, and AI says this team has deep aviation, wilderness, business, and operational expertise. In summary, the WildBorn Aviation team has the vision, experience, and operational support to launch an Alaska air taxi service in 4 months. With precision planning, disciplined execution, and the right aircraft, this operation can become a cornerstone of Alaska transports for years to come.
Oh, that's funny. That's cool. Let's get Mr. AI to plop down a credit card and let's get this party started.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
do you know how to make $1 million in aviation? Tell them, Rich.
Start with 2 million.
Start with 2 million. Okay. So it is the Christmas holiday season. So there's going to be some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this sure would be a cool Christmas present.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. And that is called WildBorn Aviation.